Hi again, friends. This is Lisa. Did you miss me? I missed you guys. Back to our stories. I'm here again with another story. In the last episode, we did talk about the girl who ended up drinking bleach, confessing, and was rushed to the hospital and never to be seen again by us. But then again, at the end of last episode, I did promise to talk about another witchcraft story that wasn't related, for the first time in a long time, wasn't related to Kush Kush. So let's dig into that story. So, my older brother was in Loas in the sixth level. And at this time in my life, he had I just remember that he had a lot of friends. He had a lot of female friends. I think he was a good listener. So he ended up having a lot of girls, I don't want to call them girlfriends, but female friends that will confide in him and all that stuff. So, he had a classmate that he really got along with. I guess, like I said, he was a good listener. And this particular girl had some issues. She had some issues that we only got to find out, when things eventually exploded. Anyway, apparently this girl had been really sad all the time. I don't remember her actually smiling. I mean, in my own memory of her, she wasn't the smiling type. She always looked worried, sad. I just know that she was in the sixth level with my brother, and some people said she had mental issues. At least that's what it looked like at the time. So around that same time, there was another really smart girl. Let's pause on the first girl that I was talking about. Let's talk about this particular girl before I jump back into. I'll tie the next stories together. So around the same time, there was another really smart girl. I remember her being a really sweet girl. She wasn't like by any stretch a mean person. She was very kind, and she was always top of her class. Yeah, she was always top of her class, but she was also my brother's friend. One day, as they were in class having lectures, this girl started screaming like she was getting attacked all over her body. How do I explain this? She said it felt like someone was using a cane to beat her all over her body. So she was shouting. Every time that she got almost like a beating, she would yell. And the scariest part, my brother told me, like the scariest part, her classmates actually said that while it was happening, they could see like marks on her body in class. How weird and scary is that? Imagine you're sitting next to someone in class. They're screaming and they're touching parts of their body like, oh my God, I'm getting whipped again. And you can physically see lines on their body, but you're not seeing who's beating them. Weird happenings of boarding school, of this particular school. Let's just put it that way. So anyway, this was the strangest thing that freaked everybody out in that class. And we spoke about it for, I would say, for the next day or two. That was all we talked about in school, because a lot of her classmates were freaked out. I mean, let me put this down. She was one of the prayer Bible club members that I was talking about in the other episode. She would normally pray for others. So having this kind of attack, of course, she kind of had to just dig into her spiritual senses. So she took it up in prayers. That's the only one thing I would say that gave her the courage to really deal with what was happening to her, or what happened to her. It was a one-time thing. It happened to her in class. She knew it was spiritual. She prayed about it. And then before we knew, we had to forget about it because something else happened. So remember the girl that I was talking about who was always very sad? So that was their classroom, right? And their classroom used to be up on the stairs, like upstairs. It was one of the classes that were upstairs. It had a balcony. This particular girl who was always sad, she had now been acting very strange. So she would just start screaming in class about not wanting to go and how they were coming to take her. And she saw things that nobody else would see. So she had this bout where she would start screaming like, they're coming to take me. I don't want to go. Please stop them from taking me. So it was just, it happened many times. So, but it always left everyone in confusion. Who is the they? Like, who did she refer to as they? that she kept seeing spiritually that were coming to take her, who was she referring to? We could never figure that out. But at this time, I particularly did not know yet that it was my brother's friend. But the things that were happening to her were being discussed in the girls' dorm a lot by the people who were in her class. So when she will pass by, they will be silent. And then once she's gone, they will start whispering. It was just a bad place for this girl to be. Thankfully, she was alive. So thankfully, she was still alive and going. But we got the biggest scare after that. One day, after one of her episodes, she ran out of the class, climbed on the balcony, and dropped to the floor. So there was a balcony, and then when you look down, there were gutters. So she literally climbed on that balcony, and it happened so quick that nobody could stop her, because if you're sitting in class with someone, they get up and leave the classroom. You don't necessarily know what they're going to go do. So she got up as though she was going to the bathroom. She got up without saying a word, went to the balcony, climbed over, and before people could even notice what was happening, she had dropped down and fallen in that gutter from that height. So there was so much. I just remember that day vividly in my memory. There was so much chaos. People were rushing to her. They surrounded her, trying to make sure she had oxygen. The principal was called as an emergency. They arranged for the school bus to rush her to the hospital. We knew that she was injured, but we did not know if she was going to be alive, if she was going to make it through. She was rushed to the hospital. We did not know anything, how bad it was. Would she return to school? The one thing we had no clarity on and were bogged down by was, why would she want to kill herself? Because that was clearly that was a suicide attempt. Another one in the school. Were we living in a jungle? What was happening? What was happening here? Was it, now that I know more, was it mental health that was bothering a whole bunch of people? It seemed like beyond mental health though. But anyway, we will find out soon. We found out that she was going to be okay. And, but then we found out also a lot of things behind her suicide attempt, which we'll be talking about in the next episode, because I want to sort of get to the point where I really explain what was happening to this girl. And trust me, I know the story, but it's not what you're thinking at this point. It is not mental health. Yes, it's not mental health. But let's table that. Let's talk about it in the next episode. Okay? So please stay curious, friends. Until next episode, we'll discuss the rest of this girl's story. Talk soon. Bye, friends.